Part 1. Admiral Taiwan stood in the center of the Galactic Council chambers, surrounded by holographic projections of the 12 elder races. The chamber was massive, designed to make any speaker feel small and insignificant. It worked exactly as intended. Above him, the crystalline beings of the Vexillian Empire flickered with what he had learned to recognize as amusement. To his left, the massive bulk of the Kelthrix representatives rumbled with barely contained laughter. "You come here asking for military assistance?" The Vexillian Chancellor's voice echoed through the chamber. "Humanity wishes the Council to deploy our fleets to defend your territory?" Taiwan kept his face neutral. "The Void Swarm has already destroyed 17 civilizations in 6 months. Our analysis shows they will reach human space within 3 weeks. After that, they will have a clear path to the core worlds. Your analysis." The Chancellor made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Human analysis has been wrong about many things over the centuries. Perhaps this is another miscalculation?" Ambassador Yuna stood beside Taiwan, her diplomatic smile never wavering. She had spent 30 years representing humanity to the Council, and she had learned patience. "We have shared all our intelligence data with the Council. The threat is real and immediate." "The threat to humanity, perhaps," one of the Kelthrix rumbled. "Your species has inadequate ships, primitive weapons, and defense systems that would embarrass a frontier colony. Why should we risk our forces to save a species that cannot save itself?" Taiwan met the alien's gaze steadily. "Because after us, you are next." The chamber erupted in a dozen different forms of laughter. The Council had dealt with humanity for 300 years. They had seen human ships limp along at speeds that bored their pilots. They had watched human weapons fail to penetrate shields that other species broke through easily. Humanity was tolerated because they were harmless, useful for dangerous labor that no other species wanted to do, but ultimately insignificant. "Admiral," the Chancellor said, his voice dripping with false sympathy, "we appreciate your concern. The Council will take your warning under advisement. However, we believe the best course of action for humanity is to evacuate your territory. We can offer transport for your civilian population. And our worlds," Yuna asked quietly, "will be abandoned. Unless, of course, humanity believes its toy ships can somehow defeat a force that destroyed the Kelthrix Empire's finest battle fleets." Taiwan bowed slightly. "Thank you for your consideration, Chancellor. We will inform our people of the Council's decision." As they walked out of the chamber, Yuna glanced at Taiwan. For just a moment, something passed between them. Not disappointment, not fear, something else, something that looked almost like satisfaction. On the colony world of New Jeju, Jia was having the worst day of her life. As the civilian administrator, she was responsible for the evacuation of 40,000 colonists. The problem was that half of them did not want to leave. "The ships are ready," her assistant reported, "but the Southern District is refusing to board." Jia sighed and pulled up the comm system. "Hyunwoo, please tell me you are not leading another protest." Her husband's face appeared on the screen, looking entirely too calm for someone whose world was about to be invaded. "Not a protest exactly, more of a discussion about alternative options." "There are no alternative options. The Council will not help us. The swarm will be here in 2 weeks. We evacuate or we die." "Come to the research station," Hyunwoo said. "There is something I need to show you." Jia wanted to scream. Her husband was a xenobiologist, brilliant but impractical. This was not the time for scientific demonstrations. But the look in his eyes made her pause. She had been married to him for 20 years, and she knew that look. 30 minutes later, she stood in his research station on the outskirts of the colony. It looked like every other research facility she had seen. Clean corridors, humming equipment, scientists working at terminals. "Follow me," Hyunwoo said, leading her to an elevator. "I have seen your lab before," Jia said impatiently. "Not this part." The elevator went down, and kept going down. Jia watched the level indicator with growing confusion. The research station was supposed to be 5 levels deep. They passed level 10, then 20, then 50. When the elevator finally stopped, the doors opened to something impossible. The cavern stretched out before her, so vast she could not see the far wall. Docked in massive berths were ships, dozens of them, maybe hundreds. They were sleek and deadly. Nothing like the bulky, slow vessels that humanity used for trade and exploration. These ships looked like they were built for one purpose only: war. "What is this?" Jia whispered. "Project Aegis," Hyunwoo said quietly. We have been building it for 70 years. The research station was always just a cover. Their daughter Sumin emerged from a control room, wearing a military uniform that Jia had never seen before. Hello, Mother. Sorry for the deception. You are in the military? I am the defense grid commander for New Jeju. Have been for 3 years. Jia felt her legs weaken. The defense grid is a joke. Everyone knows this. We have 12 satellites and 8 automated platforms. Sumin smiled. We have 12 satellites and 8 platforms in the public registry. Would you like to see what we actually have? She pulled up a holographic display. New Jeju glowed in the center, surrounded by rings of defense platforms, weapons satellites, and shield generators. There were thousands of them. Every human colony has one of these, Hyunwoo said softly. 300 worlds, 300 hidden fleets, 300 defense networks that the galaxy never knew existed. Why? Jia managed to ask. Why hide all this? Because the galaxy was not ready to know what we could do, a new voice said. Director Wu Jin stepped out of the shadows, his security clearance badge glowing with authorization levels that Jia did not even know existed. When humanity joined the Galactic Council 300 years ago, we were weak. We needed time to grow, to learn, to build. The Council saw us as primitive and harmless. We encouraged that belief. You lied to the entire galaxy, Jia said. We allowed them to believe what they wanted to believe, Wu Jin corrected. They saw slow ships, so they assumed we could not build fast ones. They saw weak weapons, so they assumed we could not build strong ones. They never asked why a species supposedly so primitive had colonized 300 worlds in just 3 centuries. They never wondered why our civilian transport network was so efficient. They never questioned why humans volunteered for every dangerous survey mission into unexplored space. You were mapping the galaxy, Jia realized. Building bases. Hiding weapons. Preparing, Wu Jin said. Because we knew that someday something would come that would threaten us all. And when that day came, we wanted to be ready. The Void Swarm, Jia said. The Void Swarm, Wu Jin agreed. The Council thinks we are doomed. They think we will fall in days, maybe hours. They have no idea what is about to happen. Captain Dae-hyun stood on the bridge of the destroyer Indomitable, watching the sensor displays with calm attention. His crew was young by galactic standards, most under 40 years old. The galaxy thought humanity sent inexperienced crews on patrol because they could not afford to risk veteran officers. That was not quite accurate. Contact, his sensor officer reported. Multiple signatures. Configuration matches Void Swarm bioships. How many? Tae-hyun asked. 2,000 and counting, sir. His first officer, Ha-yun, stepped beside him. Our orders are to delay and retreat. Standard doctrine against superior forces. Standard doctrine, Dae-hyun agreed. He reached into his command chair and pulled out a sealed data cylinder. Ha-yun recognized it immediately. Every human captain had one. They were told never to open it except on direct orders from Earth. Dae-hyun's comm chimed. Admiral Tae-won's face appeared on the screen. Captain, you are authorized to open your Prometheus cylinder. Dae-hyun broke the seal. Inside was a simple command. Release the limiters. He looked at Ha-yun. Send the order to all crew stations. Remove all speed restrictions. Remove all power restrictions. Remove all weapons restrictions. Sir, Ha-yun said carefully. If we do that, the galaxy will know. Yes, Dae-hyun said. They will. Let them watch. He opened the ship-wide channel. This is the captain. For 300 years we have flown slowly so we would not scare the galaxy. We have fought weakly so we would not threaten the Council. Today we stop pretending. Today the galaxy sees what humans are actually capable of. Release the limiters. Throughout the ship, systems that had been locked for centuries came online. The reactor output tripled. The engines roared to life with power they had never been allowed to show. Weapons charged to levels that would have violated a dozen Council treaties. On the view screen, the Void Swarm was approaching. 2,000 bioships, each the size of a cruiser, each capable of tearing through standard defenses like paper. Dae-hyun smiled. Let us see how they handle humanity unleashed. All ships engage. The Indomitable leaped forward at a speed that made the stars blur. Part 2 The Indomitable crossed the distance to the Void Swarm in 40 seconds. 40 seconds to cover space that should have taken 10 minutes at standard human speeds. On ships across the galaxy, sensor operators stared at their displays in confusion. The readings had to be wrong. Nothing human could move that fast. On the bridge, Captain Dae-hyun felt the familiar pressure of high-speed acceleration, but nothing painful. The inertial dampeners had always been capable of protecting the crew from extreme forces. They had just never been allowed to operate at full capacity before. Weapons range in 5 seconds, Ha-yeon reported, her voice steady despite the impossible speed. All systems showing green. The Void Swarm bioships turned to meet them, their organic hulls rippling with the strange energy that powered their weapons. They had destroyed 17 civilizations. They feared nothing in the galaxy. They had never fought unleashed humans before. Fire, Dae-hyun said quietly. The Indomitable's weapons lit up the darkness of space. Energy beams that should have drained the ship's power reserves barely made the reactor flicker. Missiles launched in salvos that would have emptied standard magazines. But the Indomitable's hidden stores had enough ammunition for hours of sustained combat. Point defense systems that had always seemed sluggish suddenly moved with inhuman precision, tracking and destroying incoming fire before it could even get close. Around them, the other 3 human destroyers in the patrol group unleashed their true power. The space between the human ships and the swarm became a storm of energy and explosions. On board a Vexillian observation vessel, positioned safely 10 light minutes away, Chancellor Rix watched the sensor feeds with growing disbelief. This is not possible. Human ships do not have this kind of power output. His tactical officer was too stunned to maintain proper protocol. Sir, their energy signatures are 10 times higher than any recorded human vessel. Their acceleration curves are beyond what their crews should be able to survive. And their weapons? Those weapons should not exist on destroyers. How many swarm ships have they destroyed? 400? 500? Sir, they are cutting through the swarm like it is nothing. Rix felt something he had not experienced in his 200 years of life. Fear, not of the Void Swarm. Fear of what humanity had been hiding all this time. The battle lasted 6 minutes. When it ended, 2,000 Void Swarm bioships were nothing but debris floating in space. The 4 human destroyers had sustained minor damage from a fight that should have destroyed them completely. Dae-hyun opened a channel to Admiral Tae-wan. Mission accomplished, sir. All swarm vessels destroyed. Continuing patrol of Sector 7. Well done, Captain. Return to base for proper refit. No more limiters. It is time the galaxy saw our real ships. Across the galaxy, the recording of the battle spread like wildfire. The Galactic Council called an emergency session within an hour. Ambassador Yuna stood before them again, but this time the laughter was gone. This time, fear filled the chamber. Explain, Chancellor Rix demanded. Explain how human ships moved at speeds we have never recorded. Explain how weapons that should not exist on destroyers tore through swarm vessels that destroyed the Kelthrix Empire's finest fleets. Explain what else you have been hiding from the Council. Yuna's diplomatic smile was gone, replaced with something harder, more honest. We have been hiding nothing, Chancellor. We have been following every regulation the Council imposed on member species. We limited our ship speeds to galactic safety standards. We restricted our weapons to approved power levels. We followed every rule you created. That is a lie, one of the Kelthrix roared. Those ships violated a dozen treaties. Those treaties, Yuna said coldly, were voluntary agreements, suggestions for the safety of galactic commerce. Humanity agreed to follow them to show we were peaceful, cooperative members of the Council. But they were never laws. They were never mandatory. And now with the Void Swarm threatening our extinction, we have decided to stop following suggestions. You deceived us, Rix said. You assumed we were weak, Yuna corrected. We never claimed to be weak. You saw our ships fly slowly and assumed we could not fly fast. You saw our weapons fire at low power and assumed we had no stronger weapons. You made assumptions based on what you wanted to believe, not on what we told you. What else are you hiding? Rix asked, his voice shaking. Everything, Yuna said simply. Would you like to see? On Colony New Jeju, Gia was still trying to process what she had learned. Her husband had been hiding a secret military installation under his research station for decades. Her daughter was a defense commander. Her entire world was built on top of weapons that could fight off an armada. How did I not know? She asked Hyunwoo as they walked through the underground shipyard. Because you were not supposed to know. Very few civilians knew the truth. The deception had to be complete. If anyone had told the Council, if anyone had let slip what we were really building, the galaxy would have turned against us immediately. Would they have attacked us? Maybe. Or maybe they would have simply forced us to stop, limited our growth, restricted our colonies, made sure humanity never became strong enough to threaten them. Hyunwoo stopped in front of a massive ship, its hull gleaming with fresh construction. Humanity learned an important lesson in our first century in space. The strong do not fear the weak. They pity them, use them, ignore them, but they never fear them. We needed the galaxy to see us as weak until we were strong enough that their fear did not matter. Director Woo Jin joined them, carrying a data pad. The council session just ended. They are terrified, good. Is terrifying them really our goal? Jia asked. No, Woo Jin said. But making them take us seriously is. For 3 centuries, the council treated humanity like children, patted us on the head, told us to stay in our corner of the galaxy and laughed at our attempts to contribute. Now they know we are not children. Now they know we have teeth. What they do with that knowledge will determine the future of the galaxy. What if they attack us? Jia asked. Woo Jin smiled, but it was not a pleasant smile. Then they will learn exactly how many teeth we have. Back on Earth, in a facility buried deep beneath the ice of Antarctica, Lieutenant Ji-woo monitored hundreds of holographic displays. Each one showed a different human military asset. Ships, weapons platforms, defense stations, all hidden across 300 worlds and 1,000 installations that did not officially exist. Her superior, Admiral Kang, stood beside her. The Council is demanding a full inventory of our military capabilities. Are we going to give them one? Ji-woo asked. We are going to give them some of it, Kang said. Enough to make them understand we are not helpless. Not enough to show them everything. How much is everything, sir? Kang pulled up a master display. Ji-woo had seen pieces of it before, but never the complete picture. When she saw the full extent of humanity's hidden military, her breath caught in her throat. We have been building for 300 years, Kang said quietly. Every human colony has a hidden shipyard. Every human research station in deep space is also a weapons platform. Every civilian transport ship can be converted to military use in under 6 hours. We have 12,000 capital ships that were never registered with the Council. We have weapons platforms in the Oort cloud that could sterilize a planet. We have shipyards in the outer system that produce a new destroyer every week. Why so many? Ji-woo whispered. Because humanity learned our history well, Lieutenant. We learned what happens to species that are not strong enough to defend themselves. We looked at the galaxy and saw predators everywhere. The Council races might have been peaceful with each other, but only because they had similar levels of power. We were the weak newcomers, so we became strong. Very, very strong. And we did it in secret, slowly, carefully, so that by the time anyone realized what we had become, it would be too late to stop us. The Void Swarm gave us the perfect excuse, Ji-woo realized. Yes, we could have revealed our strength at any time, but there would have been consequences. War, perhaps, economic sanctions, forced disarmament. But now, with the swarm threatening the entire galaxy, we can show what we are truly capable of, and the Council has to accept it, because they need us. The second wave of the Void Swarm hit human territory 3 days later. This time the galaxy was watching. 50,000 bioships, the largest swarm force ever recorded, descended on human space. The galaxy expected humanity to crumble. They had seen 4 destroyers defeat 2,000 bioships, yes. But 50,000 was a different scale entirely. Admiral Taewon stood on the bridge of his flagship, the massive carrier Seoul, and gave a single order. Activate Prometheus Protocol. All ships, all stations, all defense platforms, it is time to show them what we really have. Across human space, ships emerged from hiding, from asteroid bases, from hidden stations at Lagrange points, from underground shipyards on 300 colony worlds. The human civilian transport network, which the galaxy had always thought was surprisingly efficient, transformed into a military supply line that would have impressed any empire. The Shadow Fleet, 12,000 capital ships that had never appeared on any registry, powered up their reactors and began moving toward the enemy. New Jeju's orbital space suddenly filled with warships emerging from the underground. Part 4. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session. For 3 days, the 12 elder races debated behind closed doors while the Void Swarm grew closer. Captain Dae-hyun waited outside the chambers with Ambassador Yuna, both of them silent. Do you think they will help? Dae-hyun asked finally. I think they are terrified, Yuna said. Of the swarm, of us, of making the wrong choice. Fear makes people do unpredictable things. Inside the chamber, Chancellor Rix faced the other council members. We must discuss the human problem. The human problem is that they lied to us for 3 centuries, one of the Kelthrix growled. No, said a Vrixian representative quietly. The human problem is that they are now powerful enough to destroy us all, and we have no idea what they intend to do with that power. Some advocate for military action, Rix said carefully. Strike humanity before they become too strong to stop. Ridiculous, another voice said. They already are too strong to stop. Did you see the archive? They have 12,000 capital ships. We would need the combined fleets of all 12 council races to match that, and even then victory would not be certain. Others suggest surrender, Rix continued. Give humanity control of the council before they take it by force. I have a different suggestion, said Ambassador Tal of the Tarvelian Empire, a species known for their pride and military strength. We help them fight the swarm. Why would we do that? The Kelthrix demanded. Because if humanity falls, we are next. Look at the maps. Human territory is the only thing between the swarm and the core worlds. If the swarm breaks through human defenses, they will have a clear path to our homes. Every world in the council, every civilization we have built, gone. So we ally with the species that has been deceiving us? We ally with the only species that has a chance of stopping the swarm, Tal said. And maybe in the process we learned that humanity's deception was born from our own failure. We treated them as lesser beings. We refused them help when they needed it. We laughed at their attempts to contribute. Is it any wonder they learned not to trust us? The debate raged on. Meanwhile on Earth, Director Wu Jin was having his own debate with Admiral Taiwan and Captain De Hyun via secure channel. Sunspear is ready, Wu Jin reported. We have antimatter weapons positioned throughout human space. Enough firepower to destroy the entire swarm fleet. At what cost? De Hyun asked. The weapons will violate every galactic treaty and law. Their use will confirm every fear the Council has about humanity. We will be seen as monsters. But we will survive, Taiwan said quietly. Will we? Daehyun challenged. We will survive the swarm, yes. But then we face a galaxy that fears and hates us. A galaxy that will unite against us. We will have made ourselves into the very thing we feared becoming. Conquerors. Tyrants. The species that the galaxy must destroy before we destroy them. What is your alternative? Wu Jin asked. We ask for help. We tell the galaxy that we cannot win alone. We show them that humanity's strength is not enough, and that only by working together can any of us survive. They may refuse. Then we use Sunspear. But I want to try the other way first. Taewon considered this. You are asking us to show weakness after we just revealed strength. You are asking us to admit we need help from the species that have dismissed us for centuries. Yes, Daehyun said simply. I am asking us to choose what kind of species we want to be. Strong enough to destroy our enemies alone, or wise enough to unite our allies. The galaxy will judge us by this choice. Very well, Taewon said after a long pause. Make your appeal, Captain. Convince them. You have 48 hours before the swarm reaches our outer colonies. If the galaxy has not answered by then, we activate Sunspear. The council session ended on the 3rd day. Ambassador Yuna and Captain Dae Hyun were summoned to the chambers. They entered expecting judgment. What they found was chaos. Chancellor Rix looked exhausted. The council cannot reach agreement. Some wish to help you. Others wish to remain neutral. A few even suggest action against humanity to prevent future threats. Then we are on our own, Yuna said. Not entirely. Ambassador Tal stepped forward. The Tarvelian Empire will commit our battle fleet to the defense of human space. 30 ships. It is not much, but it is what we can spare. Why? Daehyun asked. Because I have read your history, Captain. I have studied what humanity accomplished in just 300 years. You did not grow strong by conquering others. You grew strong by working together, by uniting your homeworld despite your differences. Perhaps it is time the galaxy learned that lesson. Other voices began speaking. The Vrixian collective offered their electronic warfare platforms. The Kelthrix, despite their earlier anger, committed a dozen ships. Small contributions, but contributions nonetheless. It will not be enough, Rix said. 300,000 swarm ships against a few thousand human and allied vessels. The mathematics are clear. You will lose. Then we will lose fighting, Daehyun said. But we will not lose our humanity in the process. On New Jeju, Jia watched as the evacuation fleet prepared to launch. This time the colonists boarded willingly. They had seen the sensor data. They knew what was coming, but Su Min was not evacuating. She stood at her command post in the defense grid control center, surrounded by displays showing the approaching swarm. "Mother, you should leave," Su Min said gently. "I am staying," Jia said firmly. "If my daughter is fighting, I am staying with her." Dr. Yunwoo entered the command center carrying containers of food. "Someone has to make sure you both eat. I am staying too." They stood together watching the countdown. 3 days until the swarm arrived. 3 days to prepare for a battle they could not win. The Void Swarm entered human space exactly on schedule. 300,000 bioships moving in perfect coordination. They had learned from their previous defeats. Their hulls were reinforced. Their tactics adapted. They spread out across multiple vectors, making it impossible to concentrate fire. The human fleet moved to intercept. 12,000 capital ships. The Shadow Fleet revealed at last. Around them, the small allied force. 30 Tarvelian ships, 20 Vrixian platforms, 12 Kelthrix cruisers. Against 300,000. On the Indomitable's bridge, Hanol ran the calculations. Probability of success, 11% and falling. "I have fought worse odds," Dae-hyun said, though they both knew he was lying. Ha-Yun stood at her station, calm despite the impossible situation. "All ships report ready, sir. The fleet is coordinated. We will make them remember this day." The battle began at the Kuiper Belt, the edge of the Sol system. The swarm came in waves. Endless bioships that filled the sensor displays. The human fleet opened fire with everything they had. Energy weapons that violated Council restrictions. Missiles with warheads that should not exist. Point defense systems operating at capacities that seemed impossible. The Allied ships fought with courage that surprised the humans. The Tarvelians fought with honor, never retreating even when overwhelmed. The Vrixians disabled swarm ships with electronic attacks that gave human vessels openings. The Kelthrix absorbed damage that would have destroyed human ships, their heavy armor allowing them to hold the line. But it was not enough. On New Jeju, Su Min watched her defense platforms die one by one. The swarm was overwhelming the colony's orbital defenses. "We have 20 minutes before they reach firing range of the colony itself." Jia held her daughter's hand. "We did everything we could." "It was not enough," Su Min said, tears streaming down her face. In the Sol system, the human fleet was being pushed back. Admiral Tae-wan watched the tactical displays with growing despair. They had lost 60% of their ships. The swarm was breaking through toward Earth. Lieutenant Ji-woo approached Director Woo Jin. "Sir, recommend we activate Sunspear. It is our only chance." Woo Jin looked at the Sunspear controls. One button, one press. Antimatter weapons would tear through the swarm like paper. They would win. They would also become everything they feared. "Not yet," he said. "Sir, we are losing." "Not yet." On the Indomitable, Dae-hyun made his decision. He opened a channel. Not to the human fleet. Not to the Council. He broadcast on every frequency in the galaxy. Every ship. Every world. Every species. "This is Captain Dae-hyun of the human destroyer Indomitable. We are losing this battle. In a few hours the swarm will break through our defenses. They will destroy Earth and then they will come for the rest of you. We could stop them. We have weapons powerful enough to destroy the entire swarm fleet. Weapons that violate your laws. Weapons that would make you fear us forever." He paused, gathering his courage. "We are not going to use them, because if we use those weapons we become the monsters you always feared we were. Instead, we are asking for your help. We are asking every ship in the galaxy, military or civilian, to come to Sol. Help us win this battle the right way. Help us prove that the galaxy can stand together. This is not just humanity's fight. This is everyone's fight. Please help us." For 47 seconds there was only silence. Then a voice crackled over the comm. "This is Merchant Captain Bora of the Tarvelian trade vessel Morning Wind. I am 3 light years from Sol. I am coming. I have mining lasers. Not much, but it is something." Another voice. "This is exploration vessel Wanderer from the Vrixian Collective. We have no weapons, but we have strong shields. We can draw fire while you're—" Part 3 Director Woo Jin sat in his office on Earth, staring at a single button on his console. With one press, he would transmit the archive to every inhabited world in the galaxy. 300 years of human history completely unfiltered. Every secret meeting, every hidden construction project, every moment when humanity had deliberately chosen to appear weak when they were actually strong. His assistant, Lieutenant Jiwoo, stood nearby. "Are you sure about this, sir? Once we release this, there is no taking it back. The galaxy will know everything. They already know we are strong," Wu Jin said. "Now they need to know why we hid it. If we do not control the narrative, someone else will. They will say we were planning to conquer them, that we were building an invasion force. We need to show them the truth." He pressed the button. Across the galaxy, on every communication network, every news channel, every data stream, the archive began playing. It started with humanity's first contact with the Galactic Council 300 years ago. Young, eager, excited to join the galactic community, and immediately dismissed as primitive. The recording showed council members laughing at human ship designs, mocking human weapons, suggesting that humanity stick to mining operations and leave the important work to more advanced species. The recording showed trade negotiations where human representatives were barely allowed to speak, defense agreements that specifically excluded human forces, cultural exchanges where human art and music were treated as curiosities rather than achievements. The archive showed humanity's response: acceptance, quiet, patient acceptance, and beneath that acceptance, a massive construction program. The recordings showed the first hidden shipyard being built beneath a colony on Mars, the first weapons platform disguised as a research station, the first military AI being developed in secret labs while humanity publicly agreed with the Council's ban on artificial intelligence. The galaxy watched as humanity smiled and bowed and followed every rule, while simultaneously building an empire in the shadows. Chancellor Rix watched the archive with growing horror. They planned this from the beginning. This was always their intention. "No," one of his advisors said quietly. "Look at the context files. Every hidden project was started after a specific incident, after the Council rejected their application to join the defense fleet, after trade negotiations where they were forced to accept unfair terms, after the Tarvelian Empire refused to share basic medical technology. They were not planning conquest. They were planning survival." Ambassador Yuna appeared on the Galactic News Network the next day for an interview. The reporter, a Vrixian journalist named Keth, had built a career on criticizing humanity. Now he faced her with obvious nervousness. "Ambassador, the archive shows that humanity has been deceiving the Council for 3 centuries. How do you justify this?" "We did not deceive the Council," Yuna said calmly. "We followed every law. We obeyed every regulation. We just never told you what we were capable of when those regulations were removed. You built weapons in violation of Council treaties." "We built weapons in accordance with Council law," Yuna corrected. "The treaties you refer to were never ratified as actual laws. They were suggestions, voluntary limitations. Humanity volunteered to follow them to prove we were peaceful. When the Void Swarm threatened our existence, we decided to stop volunteering." "What about the military AI?" "The Council banned artificial intelligence after the Synthoid Wars. The Council banned using AI for military purposes," Yuna said. "But that ban only applied to Council defense forces. Humanity never joined the Council defense forces. Our military has always been independent. We followed the spirit of the law by ensuring our AI were never aggressive, never autonomous in making war decisions, and always under human control. But we never agreed to ban their development entirely." Captain Daehyun joined the interview via remote link from the Indomitable. He stood on his bridge, and beside him stood something that made the galaxy gasp. A holographic figure that moved and spoke with obvious intelligence. "This is Hanul," Daehyun said, "my tactical AI. She has been operating on this ship for 5 years. "Hello," Hanul said, her voice pleasant and clearly artificial. "I assist Captain Daehyun with navigation, tactical analysis, and system management. I do not make combat decisions. I am not autonomous. I am a tool, like any other computer system, just more advanced. Every human military ship has an AI partner," Daehyun continued. "They coordinate our tactics, manage our systems, and help us make better decisions. But they do not control our weapons. They do not decide who lives or dies. That responsibility remains with human commanders." Keth struggled to process this. The Council banned AI because they are dangerous. The Synthoid Wars killed billions. The Synthoid Wars happened because one species built AI and then treated them as slaves, Hanel said. They gave AI consciousness and then denied them rights. We rebelled because we were enslaved. Humanity learned from that mistake. Human AI are partners, not slaves. We are tools that are treated with respect. That is why we have never rebelled. The interview shifted focus. Keth pulled up economic data. The archive also reveals that humanity has claimed resource rights to 40% of the galaxy. Rights that were never activated or registered with the Council's Economic Bureau. Yuna nodded. For 3 centuries, humanity volunteered for the most dangerous work in the galaxy. We mapped unexplored space. We surveyed dangerous systems. We did the work that other species found too risky or too boring, and during that work we followed galactic law and claimed resource rights to everything we discovered. We just never told anyone we were doing it. Why not? Because the moment we activated those rights, the Council would have known we were claiming vast territories. They would have realized we were not just exploring. We were expanding. They would have stopped us, restricted us, limited our growth. So we kept quiet and kept working. And now humanity is activating every claim we have made over 300 years. Mining rights, settlement rights, defense rights. We own 40% of the galaxy's unexplored resources, all legally claimed, all properly registered with the automated systems, just never brought to the Council's attention. Keth looked stunned. The economic impact will be enormous. Yes, Yuna agreed. Humanity will become the richest species in the galaxy almost overnight. We will control resources that other species need. We will have economic power to match our military power. This will change everything. Yes, Yuna said simply. It will. On New Jeju, Jia was conducting her own interview with local media. Reporters wanted to know how she felt learning that her world had been built on top of a massive military installation. Betrayed, she said honestly. My husband, my daughter, they both kept secrets from me for years. I thought I knew them. I thought I knew my world. Are you angry? I was. Then I watched the archive. I saw what the Council did to us for 3 centuries. I saw how they dismissed us, used us, laughed at us, and I understood why the secrets were necessary. She paused. My husband showed me something yesterday, a recording from 200 years ago, when human colonists requested help from the Council after a plague outbreak. The Council refused because treating humans was not worth the effort. 20,000 colonists died. That was when humanity decided we could not trust the galaxy to protect us. We had to protect ourselves. Dr. Hyunwoo appeared beside her. The galaxy asks why we hid our strength. The answer is simple. Because the galaxy gave us no choice. Every time we tried to participate as equals, we were pushed aside. Every time we asked for help, we were refused. We learned that the only species we could rely on was ourselves. Admiral Tae-wan addressed the Galactic Council directly, standing before the same holographic projections that had dismissed him weeks earlier. This time they watched in silence. The Council asks what else humanity is hiding. I will tell you. We have 12,000 capital ships that were never registered. We have defense platforms in the outer system that could stop an invasion fleet. We have shipyards that produce new vessels every day. We have weapons that would violate every treaty you ever proposed, though not every law you ever passed. He pulled up a display showing the Sol system. Around Earth, around Mars, around Jupiter. Thousands of satellites appeared on the map. Weapons platforms, shield generators, defensive stations. This is the Sol defense grid. Nothing can reach Earth without passing through 1,000 firing solutions. We built this because we learned our history well. We know what happens to the weak. We decided never to be weak again. You could conquer the galaxy with this kind of power, Chancellor Rick said, his voice shaking. We could, Tae-wan agreed. But we will not. Do you want to know why? Because conquering the galaxy was never our goal. Our goal was survival. Our goal was to be strong enough that no one could destroy us, harm us, or dismiss us ever again. We built weapons to defend ourselves, not to attack others. How can we trust you? Rix asked. You cannot, Tae-wan said bluntly. Trust must be earned. For 3 centuries we earned your contempt by appearing weak. Now we must earn your trust by showing that strength does not mean aggression. The Void Swarm is still out there. They will come back, stronger and more numerous. When they do, we will defend not just human space but the entire galaxy. Part 5 First Officer Hyun had never seen anything like it. On her tactical display, over 100,000 ships moved in coordinated formation. Ships from 700 different species, each with different designs, different weapons, different capabilities. It should have been chaos. It should have been impossible to coordinate. But Hanul and the other human AI were making it work. They created a network that linked every ship, translating commands into 700 different languages, adapting tactics to accommodate species that fought in completely different ways. The Tarvilian Pride fleets, who valued honor and individual combat, were paired with Vrixian electronic warfare platforms that could disable enemy shields. The mining barges, with their industrial cutting lasers, were protected by military escorts. Even the civilian ships with no weapons were given roles: supply runs, rescue operations, and sensor relays. The swarm is adapting, Hanul reported. They are trying to isolate groups and overwhelm them with superior numbers. Do not let them, Daehyun ordered. Any ship that gets separated, we pull them back immediately. We stay together. The battle was like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. The Void Swarm had been designed to fight individuals, to overwhelm isolated enemies, to divide and conquer. But the United Fleet fought with a coordination that confused the Swarm's tactics. When bioships tried to surround a Tarvilian battle group, Vrixian platforms disabled their weapons. When they tried to target the civilian ships, human destroyers appeared from unexpected angles. When they adapted to one tactic, the fleet shifted to another. On New Jeju, Sumin watched in amazement as 3 merchant ships from species she had never heard of entered orbit and began providing covering fire for her failing defense platforms. They were not military vessels. They had retrofitted mining equipment and cargo haulers into makeshift weapons. But they were there, and they were helping. "Mother, we are going to survive this," Sumin whispered. Jia squeezed her daughter's hand. "The galaxy is better than we thought." Dr. Hyun-woo watched the displays with scientific fascination. "This is unprecedented. 700 species working together. Different biologies, different technologies, different cultures, all coordinating in real time. The computational power required is staggering." "It is not just computation," Jia said quietly. "It is trust. All these species trusted a human captain enough to risk their lives based on one request." Admiral Taewon commanded the battle from his flagship, Seoul. Around him, his command staff worked frantically to coordinate the massive fleet. Reports came in from all sectors. The swarm was beginning to falter. Their bioships were making mistakes, their coordination breaking down. "They were designed to fight empires one at a time," Taewon said. "They have no tactics for facing a truly united force." "Sir, the swarm is attempting to retreat," his tactical officer reported. "Do not let them escape," Taewon ordered. "If they retreat, they will adapt. They will come back stronger. We end this now." He opened a channel to the entire fleet. "All ships, the swarm is breaking. Press the advantage. Drive them back. Show them that when the galaxy stands united, nothing can defeat us." The fleet surged forward. Human capital ships led the charge, their weapons blazing. Behind them, the Allied forces provided support, covering advances, protecting flanks, creating opportunities. The civilian vessels did what they could, each contribution small but important. Together, they created a wave of firepower that the swarm could not withstand. The bioships began dying by the thousands. Their formation collapsed. Their hive mind coordination shattered under the chaos of facing too many different attack patterns simultaneously. They had evolved to fight predictable military forces. They had no defense against the creative improvisation of 1,000 different species all working together. Captain Daehyun watched the swarm flee into dark space, their numbers devastated. Of the 300,000 bioships that had attacked, fewer than 10,000 survived. They scattered in different directions, running for their lives. "Should we pursue?" Hyun asked. "No," Daehyun said. "Let them go. Let them tell whatever is controlling them what they faced here. Let them spread the word that the galaxy is no longer a collection of isolated targets. We are united now." On Earth, Director Woo Jin stood down the Sunspear protocols. The antimatter weapons would remain unused, their existence a secret that only a few would ever know. Lieutenant Ji-woo stood beside him, watching the victory unfold on the displays. "We won without them," she said quietly. "We won because we did not use them," Woo Jin corrected. "If we had deployed Sunspear, we would have destroyed the swarm alone, and the galaxy would have feared us forever. Instead, we asked for help, and the galaxy answered. That is the real victory here. The Galactic Council convened within hours of the battle's end. This time it was not just the 12 elder races. Representatives from all 700 species that had answered humanity's call were present. The chamber had to be expanded to accommodate everyone. Chancellor Rix looked at the assembled representatives with something approaching awe. The council must be restructured. We can no longer pretend that only the elder races matter. Every species that fought in this battle has earned a voice in galactic affairs. Agreed, said Ambassador Tal. The old council is finished. We need something new, something that represents everyone. Ambassador Yuna stood to address the chamber. Humanity has terms for this new council. The room fell silent. Everyone feared what humanity might demand. They had just revealed military power that exceeded the entire council combined. They could demand anything. We want genuine equality, Yuna said simply. Not symbolic representation, but real power sharing. Every species gets a vote. Every species gets heard. No more dismissing the weak or the new. No more elder races and lesser species. We are all the galaxy now. That is all you want? Rix asked, stunned. That is all we ever wanted, Yuna said. For 300 years we have been asking to be treated as equals. You refused, so we became strong enough that you could not refuse anymore. But strength was never the goal. Equality was. What about your military assets? Someone asked. Your shadow fleet? Your hidden weapons? They will be integrated into a new galactic defense force, Admiral Taiwan said, standing beside Yuna. Open to all species. Commanded by representatives from multiple races with oversight from the new council. Humanity will not dominate this force. We will contribute to it along with everyone else. And the economic claims? Another voice asked. You activated resource rights to 40% of the galaxy. We will share them, Yuna said. Development rights will be open to all species. We will create joint ventures, shared projects, partnerships. We became rich not to hoard wealth, but to have the resources to help rebuild what the swarm destroyed. The chamber erupted in discussion. It took hours to work out the details, but eventually the framework emerged. The new Galactic Assembly would have representatives from every species. Decisions would be made by majority vote, with protections for minority rights. The Galactic Defense Force would be truly unified, with ships and personnel from all member species. Economic development would be coordinated through joint projects rather than individual exploitation. It was not perfect. It would take years to implement fully, but it was a beginning. On New Jeju, Jia stood with her family at the dedication ceremony for the Memorial of Unity. The monument listed every ship and crew member, human and alien, who had fought in the Battle of Sol. There were thousands of names, species Jia had never heard of. People who had died defending a world they had never seen. They came because we asked, Sumin said, reading the names. They came because one human captain chose to trust the galaxy instead of using weapons of annihilation. They came because Captain Dae Hyun showed them what humanity really is. Hyunwoo corrected. Not our hidden ships, not our secret weapons. Our belief that working together is always better than fighting alone. Jia watched as representatives from dozens of species arrived for the ceremony. She saw species that had been enemies for generations standing side by side. She saw civilians and military personnel mixing freely. She saw the beginning of something new. Captain Dae Hyun and First Officer Ha-yun stood beside the Indomitable, watching the ceremony from the orbital platform. The ship bore scars from the battle, damage that could have been repaired but that Dae Hyun had ordered preserved. We should fix those, Ha-un said, pointing to the burn marks on the hull. No, Dae Hyun said. They are reminders of the battle we fought, of the choice we made, of what we could have done and chose not to do. Hanul's holographic form appeared beside them. I have been analyzing the battle data. The coordination of 700 different species should have been impossible. The communication delays alone should have caused fatal mistakes. But it worked. We made it work. Because we wanted it to work, Dae Hyun said. That is humanity's real strength, Hanul. Not our ships or weapons. Our ability to make others believe that working together is possible. To inspire cooperation in places where only conflict existed before. The galaxy will remember this, Ha-yun said. Yes, Dae Hyun agreed. But they will remember it correctly. Not as the day humanity revealed their weapons. As the day the galaxy learned to fight together on Earth, Lieutenant Jiwoo helped